They say the greatest act of love is sacrifice, giving a part of yourself, your blood, your time, your very body for someone else. But what happens when the person you sacrifice everything for is the same person who shattered your world? This is the story of Ethan Carter, a man who lost everything because of one person's greed, a man who still, without knowing, saved that very person's life. And when the truth was finally revealed, the world held its breath. Ethan Carter and Marcus Webb had been friends since they were 7 years old. They grew up on the same street in a small town in Ohio. They shared lunches, dreams, and secrets. To everyone who knew them, they weren't just friends, they were brothers. Ethan was the quiet one, the one who believed in hard work, in loyalty, in doing things right. Marcus was the charming one, the one who could walk into a room and make everyone smile. Together, they were unstoppable. At the age of 28, Ethan had an idea that would change both their lives. A small tech startup. Nothing fancy, just a vision and 2 laptops. He brought Marcus in as his partner. Not because Marcus had money or skills, but because Ethan trusted him with his life. For 3 years, they worked side by side, 16-hour days, skipped weekends, missed family dinners. And then, the breakthrough came. Their company was valued at over $4 million. Investors were calling. Magazines wanted interviews. Everything Ethan had ever dreamed of was finally real. It started with small things that Ethan ignored. Marcus arriving late to meetings. Conversations that stopped when Ethan walked in. A locked filing cabinet that was never locked before. Then one Thursday morning, Ethan arrived at the office to find the locks changed. His access cards rejected. His name removed from the company database. A letter sitting on the doorstep from his own lawyer, telling him he had been legally removed as a company director, that Marcus had forged his signature on transfer documents months ago. Marcus had taken everything: the company, the accounts, the partnerships. Every document with Ethan's name on it had been quietly replaced. 3 years of work, 3 years of sacrifice. Gone, stolen, by the one person Ethan had trusted most. The court case lasted 8 months. Ethan spent every penny he had on lawyers, on evidence, on hope. But Marcus was clever. He had covered his tracks well. The judge ruled in Marcus's favor. Ethan walked out of that courtroom with nothing but his name. He lost his apartment. He moved back to his childhood home where his aging mother lived. He couldn't sleep. He barely ate. For months, he existed in a grey world, wondering how a person he loved like a brother could do something so cold, so calculated, so cruel. But Ethan was not the kind of man who stayed broken. Slowly, painfully slowly, he rebuilt. He took a job at a small firm. He paid his debts. He never spoke Marcus's name again. He simply moved forward. 2 years after the betrayal, Ethan's mother was diagnosed with kidney disease. Watching her go through dialysis 3 times a week changed something in Ethan. He saw how patients suffered, how families waited, how hope was tied to a single organ transplant. So he registered as a living donor, not for attention, not for praise, simply because he knew what it felt like to need someone and have no one come. 18 months after registering, the hospital called. There was a critical patient, stage 4 kidney failure. Without a transplant in the next few weeks, he would not survive. The tests showed Ethan was a near perfect match. Ethan agreed without hesitation. He didn't ask who the patient was. In living donor programs, recipients are often anonymous, their identity protected until both parties consent to meet. Ethan didn't need to know. He had already made his decision. The surgery took 6 hours. Ethan's kidney was removed, placed in preservation, and transplanted into the body of a man whose name he did not know. A man who, without this stranger's sacrifice, would have died. Ethan spent 11 days recovering. His mother visited every day. She held his hand and cried, not because he was in pain, but because she had raised a son who still chose kindness when the world had shown him cruelty. Ethan's mother: "Why did you do it, Ethan? After everything you've been through?" Ethan: "Because somewhere out there, that person has a mother too." 3 months after the surgery, Ethan received a letter. It was from the hospital's transplant coordination team. The recipient, they wrote, had requested to meet his donor. He wanted to say thank you in person. The decision, as always, was Ethan's. Ethan thought about it for a week. He almost said no. He wasn't looking for gratitude. He wasn't looking for anything. But something, a quiet instinct he couldn't explain, made him write back. Yes, he would meet. The man turned around slowly, and Ethan's world stopped. It was Marcus Webb, the man who had stolen his company, his future, his trust. The man whose name Ethan had not spoken in years. The man who had broken him was sitting there, alive, because of a kidney that had come from Ethan's own body. Marcus is talking to Ethan. I didn't know. I swear to God. I didn't know it was you. They never told me who the donor was. If I had known, I would have. Ethan stood very still. He felt 1,000 things at once. Rage. Disbelief. The deep, hollow ache of old wounds reopening. But also, and this was the part that surprised him most, something else, something quieter, something that felt impossibly like peace. Marcus said, I've spent every day since what I did trying to live with myself. I couldn't. I lost the company anyway. Bad decisions, bad people. Lost my wife. Lost my son's respect. I had nothing left. And then my kidneys failed and I thought it was God's punishment. That I deserved to die. Marcus said, and then a stranger saved my life. A stranger who, when I found out who it was, I realized was the only person in the world who had every reason to let me go. Ethan said, I didn't save you, Marcus. I saved a stranger. I didn't know it was you. And I need you to understand that. Because I need to understand it myself right now. But you're alive. And I don't know what to do with that yet. So I'm just going to sit here for a minute. Ethan never fully forgave Marcus. Not that day. Not for a long time. Forgiveness, he learned, is not a door you walk through once. It is a choice you make again and again every morning when the memory returns. But he didn't carry hatred either. Because the strange, painful, beautiful truth was this. Without the betrayal, he would never have hit rock bottom. Without hitting rock bottom, he would never have learned what truly mattered. He would never have registered as a donor. He would never have been in that room, in that moment, face to face with the man he once called brother. Marcus survived. He spent the rest of his recovery volunteering at the same hospital where his life had been saved. He called Ethan once, months later, not to ask for friendship, not to ask for forgiveness, just to say, I see you. I see what you are, and I'm sorry. They say the greatest revenge is living well, but Ethan Carter discovered something even more powerful than revenge. He discovered that a life lived with an open heart, even one that has been broken, is a life that cannot be truly taken from you. He gave a stranger his kidney. He didn't know that stranger was his greatest enemy. But maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what made it the most powerful gift of all. And that, dear viewers, is the story of Ethan Carter, a man who lost everything to betrayal and unknowingly gave life to the one who betrayed him. Life works in ways we can never predict. Sometimes the universe has a plan that is far greater than our pain. Drop a comment below. What would you have done in Ethan's place? I'd love to know. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and remember, every shadow has a light behind it.